and turns into a big inning. It was a 1-0 affair last night in the 6th inning. A mistake, and all of a sudden 5 runs come around, and the Rockies go on to lose to Dontrelle Willis by a count of 7-0. Let me bring in my partner, George Frazier. You know, all of the conversation when you talk about Florida centers around their great starting rotation. Well, it should, but the middle of their order is pretty potent also.
Well, it varies. When you start to go down with Delgado in there, Cabrera, Encarnacion, and Paul LaDuca, maybe one of the strongest 6-hole hitters in the game of baseball today, combined 329, 13 home runs, and 76 RBIs with that group of guys. And I'll give you a little comparison, folks. The Rockies with 52 RBIs, but those same 4 in the lineup. Big difference when you're scoring runs late in ball games, and when those 4 are coming up to start the damage.
And the scary thing is, George, they don't feel like Carlos Delgado has really gotten untracked just yet.
I don't think he has either. I think he's one of those guys that's going to end up with 25 to 30 home runs. He's going to drive in 110. And let's not forget a guy that with the long ball that'll be a part of this lineup as it progresses into the season, Mike Lowell.
Yeah, Mike Lowell finally got a couple of hits last night. He'd been in a horrendous slump since the start of the year. So it's not just the pitching, it's offense as well with Florida. Sean Chacon will try to tame that offense. Josh Beckett, one of the hard throwers in the game. Come on back. By Affleck, ask about it at work. By Gatorade Thirst Quencher, it's in MLB, is it in you? And by Jeep, if it's not trail rated, it's not a Jeep. The home of the Miami Dolphins, and boy, you have a lot of fun when you're winning baseball games. Dontrelle Willis and Juan Pierre. George, you know that dance? I'm not real familiar with that one.
I'm not very good at that either. Trust me, I'm not. But I'm funny because Dontrelle's got his batting gloves in the back pocket. He's saying, Jack, I can swing it.
I asked McKeon, because last night they sacrificed with Alex Gonzalez in the 8-hole for Dontrelle Willis. I said, Jack, you ever done that before? He said, only a couple times. He goes, but kind of like the way Willis swings the bat sometimes better than my 8-hole guy. Jack McKeon has been in the big leagues for a long, long time. His 5th big league managerial stint. Aaron Miles, Clint Barmas, Todd Helton at the top of the order for the Rockies. Preston Wilson, then Matt Holliday. Todd Green, back-to-back days in the lineup behind the plate. He had a couple of hits last night. Garrett Atkins will bat in the 8-hole at third base after hitting 2nd last night. And Sean Chacon is in the customary slot for the pitcher. And the man they'll oppose this evening is Josh Beckett. George, he's coming off his shortest stint of the year. Philadelphia beat him up in his last outing. He just lasted 2 innings.
Good fastball pitcher. You got a good fastball hitting team, and the Philadelphia Phillies can leave the yard. They attack with some easy plays. If you make him get off the mound and field the baseball, you can have success with Beckett.
Beckett comes in 4-2 with a 2.57 ERA despite the bad outing in Philadelphia in his last start. Gave up 5 runs in 2 innings, and that's in there, 1-1.
Well, even the great ones have a bad start occasionally. You get that out of the way early in the season. The pressure on this pitching staff it's fun to watch because of what Beckett, Burnett, Al Leiter, and of course Dontrelle Willis among themselves the competition.
Sinking fastball in the outside corner, and it's 1-2. Look at the home ERAs. Dontrelle Willis, his ERA is down to 0.58, and Beckett's right behind here at Dolphin Stadium. On the ground at Luis Castillo. That's not where you want to hit it. 2 gold gloves in a row, and he picked up his 2004 gold glove before the start of the ball game. 1 out. That'll bring Clint Barmas to the plate. 24-year-old, be 25 next week.
An old guy, huh? Hey, look at those overall numbers. 4-2 on the season. 35 innings, 36 punch out, grades out as a 6. We've repeated that before. 1.50 to the plate. That really controls the running game. And it's not so much the slide step that he uses, it's the velocity of the fastball that helps him get his feet underneath, square up, take a little more time with a leg kick because the ball's coming on an express route to the plate.
Barmas had a hit yesterday leading off the ball game. He was at the top of the lineup against the left-hander Willis. Barmy at 386. And he's been solid on this road trip. 7 for 25. And look at this, another base hit for Barmas. He is a machine. He just keeps on hitting. Gotta love his focus day in and day out. He's one of those guys that he'd be comfortable playing all 162. He's a lot like Helton. I mean, do not take me out of the lineup. I do not need a break. And this guy rarely needs a break. Though last night, Clint Hurdle, we were talking about this with Clint before yesterday's ball game. I said, had Todd not gotten hot in San Diego, would this have been maybe a good ball game to sit him down for the first time this year when he was facing Willis? And he said, yeah, absolutely. He said, but you know, he's 6 for 13, couple of home runs, 3 doubles last few ball games. So he put him out there, and Helton, for just the 3rd time in the last 3 years, struck out 3 times against Willis. He does that about once a season. There's Paul LaDuca. He's a guy that rarely comes out of the lineup despite having to put the gear on every night.
Oh, who wouldn't want to catch this stuff?
It's fun.
Not only throw it where you call it, but also it's a little bit of oomph behind it.
On the corner for a strike, 2-1. Helton didn't particularly like that strike call from Mike Winters. Jerry Meals is at first. You look at Mike Winters. Bruce Froming's at second base. Hunter Wendelstedt, who had a low strike zone last night, is at third base. Two balls, 2 strikes. Helton on the road trip, couple of home runs and 4 RBIs. He's 8 for 27, so I thought he had pretty good numbers for Barmes on the road trip. Same for Helton. Outside of those 2 guys, nobody else has really gotten it going. Barmes goes, pitches low, throw by LaDuca is in time. Boy, with the pop-up slide, it looked like Barmes was coming up when the tag was applied, but Bruce Froming, emphatic call, and not much of an argument. None.
This will give you a very good look at it. And LaDuca about too flat getting rid of the baseball. He got rid of it in a hurry there. Yeah, ball beat him. And you can see that just with the fly-in of Gonzalez coming in from his shortstop position, catch the baseball and apply the tag.
So with 2 outs, Helton draws a walk.
Number 44, center fielder, Preston Wilson.
Preston at 236. Last night, Wilson was 1 for 4 in the ball game. He hit the ball hard on a couple of occasions, however, in the game. Hitting better against right-handed pitching so far this year, 277 versus 160. And check swing, fouls it off. Preston getting to stay at home these last couple of days, drive his own vehicle to the ballpark. He makes his off-season home here in South Florida. There's the split on Wilson. And the former Marlin hits it in the air to right field. Encarnacion, with the shades down, makes the catch. There was a hit, a walk, 1 man left. Bottom of the first inning, the Marlins come in 16-10. They're a half game behind the Atlanta Braves in the National League East. The Rockies are 6-20. And here's the lineup for Jack McKeon this evening, brought to you by Mako. Juan Pierre up top, then Luis Castillo, Delgado, Cabrera, and Encarnacion. Paul LaDuca, 9 for 20 in his career against Sean Chacon, and Mike Lowell, Alex Gonzalez. It's the same lineup as last night, with the exception, obviously, of the pitcher.
Well, Sean Chacon's overall numbers on the year, 1-1, the earned run average, 327. Too many walks. And think of that last start that he only gave up very few runs and hits, but walked 7. Well, the focus. And you got to focus all the way through this thing. Will attack the strike zone, win focused, win in line. In the middle innings of this game, mentioned yesterday, the Rockies have been outscored 83-35 in the middle 3 innings, 5, 6, and 7.
Chacon started out with a changeup for Juan Pierre, and then he came back with the fastball. We're going to check how hard he's throwing. The only reason is Sean's tried to slow down his delivery. And in the last ball game, George, he was working in the low 80s for a good portion of that ball game. And the staff was concerned. When I say the staff, Clint Hurdle and Bob Apodaca.
And Keith Duggar.
And Keith Duggar. And he got the fastball up to, he topped out at 89. And Shaq's a guy that can run his fastball up in the mid-90s. And so there was a little bit of concern. But he said he felt fine. And he starts out the ball game not the way you want to do it. He walks Juan Pierre. And we mentioned this last night. Pierre is not an easy guy to walk. He's a lot like Aaron Miles.
He's going to swing the bat, force the issue on the defense to catch the baseball.
Juan Pierre getting together with his good friend Todd Helton. And let's check the gloves behind Sean Chacon this day. Brought to you by Rico. Holiday, Wilson, Hop in the outfield. Atkins, Barmes, Miles, Helton in the infield. Todd Green for the second straight ball game has the gear on. And the runner was moving, kind of a bunt and run play, and Castillo fouls it off. Well, an inauspicious way to begin the ball game. Sean Chacon on 5 pitches walks Juan Pierre. Pierre does not go, and the ball is bunted at and missed. So it's 0-2 on Castillo. Pierre off first. And it remains 0-2. Well, another George is going to be even unhappier this evening.
Mr. Steinbrenner will not be happy. His horse did not run well in the Kentucky Derby. You're right. He's got a few things to gripe about. He can go after the horse trainer now and take the pressure off Mel Stottlemyre and Joe Torre.
Now Pierre will have to go over and tidy up a little bit. That may be the most washed uniform in baseball. One and 2 on Castillo.
Pierre accomplishing just what he wants to, and that is to draw Shaq's attention to the first base bag, pull it away from the home plate area with Castillo.
He takes off, and Castillo fouls it off. With these two guys at the top of your lineup, you don't have to hit home runs. You can manufacture runs. And again, typically with their rotation, you're going to play some low-scoring games. He goes again. It is off the glove of Chacon, and Barmes looked around for Pierre and said, I'll just throw to first. Double play. That was interesting. That's 1-6 on the putout, and then the putout at first on the double play is 6-3.
Great reaction by Sean Chacon. Ball hit right on the button, hits his glove, flipped into the air. Barmes moving to the bag for the throw in case no contact made.
George, if he doesn't deflect this, it's a base hit.
Well, no question. It's a line drive right back up the middle. Barmes able to catch the baseball, turns and looks at Pierre, and then I'll just toss it over to help.
Nice little break. 2 outs. Carlos Delgado up there.
Well, and if Barmes isn't moving, there might be a chance this ball gets back up the middle anyway. You know, Barmes is going to cover the bag. Miles came in right behind him. Or a close play at first base if the ball hits the ground.
Two balls and a strike on Delgado. Carlos yesterday 1 for 5. He has a modest 4-game hitting streak going. Still learning the National League pitchers after so many years in the American League.
You talked about Chacon slowing down his delivery. You can do that. You still need to keep your arm speed where it is. I mean, it's hard to have your mind work in that way, to slow it down, but yet still have a fast arm through the zone. So many guys back off it.
That's a foul ball. That fastball was at 86. And still, to me, Jordan, you're the expert, you're the pitcher. That just doesn't seem right.
Well, he's a guy that was 94, 95 when he started closing, would touch that at times last year. But, you know, obviously with Shaq, he feels better command, create movement at the 85 to 90 range. He just hadn't seen a lot of 90s.
In the air to center field, Preston Wilson has to come way in. And he makes the catch. So Chacon ends up facing the minimum after the walk to Juan Pierre. No score. We'll go to the second inning. No score. We go to the top of the second inning. Brad Hopp will lead things off against Josh Beckett. Time to check our Diamond Shamrock Diamond details on Dolphins Stadium in Miami. First baseball game actually in 1988. The Dodgers and the Orioles played down here in spring training. Marlins debut 1993. They beat LA 6-3. And in 99, the Broncos beat the Falcons 34-19. One John Elway was the MVP. I remember that game well. Standing here and working on the football side. Doesn't look the same for football as it does for baseball, obviously. It's close. Bradley at 348 this year, 4 home runs. That's tied for the club lead with Preston Wilson and Clint Barmes. Hop had last night off. Probably one of those times you don't mind getting the evening off your left-handed pitcher or hitter facing Dontrell Willis.
That's a combination Clint's used most of the year, the platoon in right field. And the other side of this is you watch Beckett work into this ball game. The one thing as a hitter you look for is patterns of pitches and control of pitches. And he has not had control of the breaking ball yet. Confidence in his fastball inside and out, but he's had yet to have control of the breaking ball and go to the changeup here as an off-speed pitch. And it's out of the strike zone. So as a hitter, you can just set dead red in the strike zone, although his dead red can be exceptional at times.
3 balls and 2 strikes on Hop. Brad wastes that fastball. 92 miles an hour on that heater from Beckett. Actually 95. They just changed it on the board.
Just gave him a couple more.
Yeah, pumped him up a little bit. Took something off then. An easy play for Delgado. It looked like the changeup again. Marlins defensively an underrated bunch. They're very good. Cabrera, Pierre, who covers a ton of ground in center field, and Encarnacion. Mike Lowell, Alex Gonzalez, Luis Castillo, they've been together forever, it seems like. Delgado, the new man at first base, and LaDuca behind the plate after the midseason trade with Los Angeles last year. 1 out, Matt Holliday coming up. And Holliday went around That happens when you're in a funk. You go up there and you check swing. You go around. All of a sudden, before you know it, it's 0-2. And you're battling, trying to get into a decent count. Matt just 1 for 19 on this road trip. A lot of movement on Beckett's fastball at 95 miles an hour. And usually, as you like to describe, George, when you throw really hard, the ball will flatten out somewhat, but he's getting some tail.
Well, you get tail, but you just don't get as much downward plane on the baseball. It'll flatten out as it comes up in the strike zone, but down in the strike zone, pretty good job of running that ball away from him. Yeah, he's gotten into breaking ball counts, and he just won't go to the breaking ball. Lack of confidence in it, whether it got hit hard in Philly and he's trying to pull too hard to get it down in the strike zone. Whatever the reason, he's just not going to a lot of breaking balls at all. There's one.
There's one. It looked like a pretty good one.
Yeah, 12-6 curveball. It's just like looking at the clock from 12 to 6 straight down. Straight down movement, no tilt to the left.
Look out.
Got him. Got a little bit of the jersey anyway. Yeah, the last outing when he was there. Pretty nasty. They ran that cutter down and away, able to paint the fastball to the outside corner to left-handed hitters. There's the hook. You normally don't see at altitude.
Beckett in that ball game went 6 innings, gave up 3 runs, 2 of them earned, 8 hits, 5 strikeouts, and a walk. And the Marlins won the ball game 9-3. Florida's won 6 straight against Colorado.
Interesting number on Beckett's the away number out of this ballpark. He's 19-12 in his career, 11-14 away from this ballpark. 3-0 lifetime versus the Rockies.
I like what Clint did here. Todd Green swung the bat well last night. 2 for 3 and a walk. Let him go back up there and swing it again. He also, one of the factors in putting Green in tonight, he's going to play Klosser against Al Leiter tomorrow. He wants Klosser to get some at-bats right-handed. Just in the hope that maybe, oh, look out.
Got Green on the back of the arm. But it's the scare factor. See, point out right there. That scare factor where it's headed. And you're standing right up on top of the plate. Good fastball hitter asking for the ball in. Trying to get out of the way. Just able enough to not take it solid.
So back-to-back hit batsmen. Holiday at second, Green at first. Just to finish the thought on Klosser, Clint wants to see him hit right-handed in the hope that maybe that'll help him get out of his season-long funk. He has not had many at-bats from the right side. Garrett Atkins with 2 on. On the outside corner for a strike. Atkins 0 for 4 in the ball game yesterday. He was 5 for 23 on the trip. Rockies as a team just 205 on this road trip. And with runners in scoring position, they've been abysmal. 184, 9 for 49 since they left Denver. Chance to get after Beckett here. So Cohen's on deck.
These are the types of situations that the Rockies on this road trip have not been able to take advantage of against very good pitching. San Diego, second and third, nobody out, and nothing happened. The next inning, first and third, 1 out, couldn't get a run across. Last night, bases loaded, 1 out, did not get a run across.
Good hook, and Atkins is gone. And now with 2 outs, Beckett can breathe a little bit easier. He's facing his counterpart, Sean Chacon. Good swing by Shaq, and that rattled the cage of Paul LaDuca. Looked like he got that one under the mask almost. Look at the upper part of the chest protector.
Well, he doesn't use the new mask. Now it took it right on the collarbone. That is not fun. By the way, that's 21st pitch of the inning for Mr. Beckett. Jack McKeon's a believer in letting guys stay in the ballgame if it's an easy 115 pitches. If it's a difficult 115, he gets them out pretty early in the ballgame. I mean, he won't tolerate any kind of damage to these young arms. That's pretty nasty. Just when you think he doesn't have control of the breaking ball, he drops 2 hooks in a row. One to strike out Atkins, and then here to Sean Chacon to go 0-2. Mark Wiley, the new pitching coach here with Florida.
Shaq got a piece of it, and he stays alive. It's 0-2. They had some question marks in their bullpen, but so far they haven't needed a bullpen.
Well, they've only had 4 saves on it. Moto with 2. Todd Jones, former Rocky, has a couple.
They've only had 5 save opportunities, period. One of them was blown, but that was in the 8th inning. Only 4 in the 9th inning. Curveball. Shaq stays off it. 1-2. Holiday at second. Green at first. Clint Barmas owns the only hit in the baseball game. He was caught stealing in the first. And Chacon rips a base hit to left. Here's the throw to the plate. It is in time, and standing up is Matt Holliday, and he was tagged out standing up. So Cabrera throws out. Matt Holliday at the plate.
Now the Rockies with a golden opportunity. Chacon with a base hit to left field. It's still knotted at 0. Cabrera's throw down right over the top of the cutoff. Let's freeze it. Look how far out Holliday went around this bag to get back. You always hear us talk about cutting the bags. Now they're taking that shorter turn or distance in. Maybe he's safe there. You see Miles in the background screaming to get down. Here's Aaron right here yelling to get down on the slide. Yet Holliday with the throw on this side of the bag stays on that side of the bag. Doesn't make the move to the inside. Maybe a hook slide there, a head first slide. Chance he might have been safe.
Now Shaq came through with the base hit. Holliday runs well. George, you described it well. A very wide turn, and then inexplicably with Miles' hands flapping to get down, that didn't hit the dirt.
In most catchers, there's a few around that will take a shot. And what I mean by that, they'll stand up or sit down in the area where it looks like they're not going to make a catch on the ball and then apply the tag. Well, Duca's not one of those guys. I mean, he's not going to stand in the baseline or stand out in the pathway of a runner unless he's got an opportunity to make a play on it.
3-0 on Miguel Cabrera leading off the second inning. Chacon walked Pierre leading off the bottom of the first. And the 3-1, not close, ball 4. So Shaq battling his control as he did in his last outing when he walked 7. Let's take a look at our Charles Schwab player profile on the Greeley native Sean Chacon.
From Greeley, Colorado. I don't know if a lot of people know that I was adopted when I was 5. I was born in Alaska. A lot of people kind of look at me funny when I say that. That's probably one of the things a lot of people don't know.
Juan Encarnacion with Cabrera at first, squared around a bunt. That got everybody by surprise. He's the 5-hole hitter. He leads the club in RBIs with 24. Now Atkins started in. He's going to back up behind the bag. And this is out in front of the plate. One play for Shaq, and that's first. Duca with one out with Cabrera at second base.
Well, you mentioned Shaq battling control. Three ball counts out of the first 5 hitters faced in this ball game. One thing Clint preaches, working ahead, throwing strikes, and it sounds like a broken record, but it's something the Rockies need to try to accomplish if they're going to have any success whatsoever. Cincinnati returned the favor on the LA Dodgers today. 11-3 Cincinnati over Los Angeles.
Yeah, last night it was 10-0 after 1 inning in favor of the Dodgers, and half of those runs in that first inning driven in by Jeff Kent. 1-1 on LaDuca. Took something off, line drive toward right. Hop will get there. Nice play by Brad Hop. Got a good jump. 2 outs. I'll bring Mike Lowell up. Lowell was 2 for 2 in last night's ball game. He had a sac fly. It was just his 3rd 2-hit game of the year. And he had his first RBI last night in 10 ball games. He's been dropped in the lineup to the 7-hole. That's what I mean. This club, George, 6 games over 500. Delgado has a good average, 316 coming in, but his power numbers haven't taken off just yet. 3 home runs. Michael Lowell hasn't hit at all.
Yeah, part of that's this ballpark's pretty good sized park too for Delgado. But yet, once he gets through this league one time and then comes back again, particularly the National League East, where he'll deal most of his ball games. Watch and see what his average is within his division as they play more games against the Mets, the Braves.
Two and one on Lowell. Inside, 3-1. Lowell, born in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Been to the All-Star game 3 straight years. Breaking pitch, 3-2. Two outs. Cabrera's at second base. He walked. Moved to second on a fielder's choice. Rockies playing straight up with Lowell at the plate, and that's ball 4. That's 3 walks. First 12 innings, spanning 2 ball games for Sean Chacon this year, he walked exactly 1 batter. In his last 10 innings, coming into tonight, he had walked 11, and he has walked 3 in an inning and 2/3 tonight.
Yeah, the last start, 5 innings, 7 walks. He only gave up 3 hits and 2 runs. He pitched out of numerous jams in San Diego.
I mean, you're flirting with disaster. I mean, it's unusual to walk 7 and only give up 2 runs in 5 innings. That fastball at 87. I keep watching the gun. And he has basically worked with his fastball between 83 and 86, which, as we stated in his last outing, is probably about 5 miles below what he normally would do. That's an easy play for Barmes. And Gonzalez retired. We'll go to the 3rd inning. No score between the Rockies and Marlins. Top of the 3rd inning, top of the order for the Rockies. Aaron Miles, Clint Barmes, Todd Helton to face Josh Beckett. And Miles pops one up down the left field line. Long run for Gonzalez, and he won't get there in foul ground. Good effort by Alex Gonzalez.
If there's one thing Cabrera does not do, and that is run well. With balls like that, Gonzalez is going to have to get there. Cabrera is not going to be able to do it. With Miles up, he's even cheating a little bit towards the foul line because he goes that way.
How about that? He took about 4 steps to the ball, and he said, nice job, Alex. He clapped his hand into his glove. Good hustle, buddy. Way to work.
Gonzalez looking at him like, where are you and what are you doing out there?
Here's the 0-1 to Miles, and that tailed back over the inside corner. 0-2. Nasty. Well, he may not have had his curveball in the 1st inning. He certainly has it now. He threw some beauties last inning, and that was filthy. 2nd strikeout of the ball game for Josh Beckett. Sunday, the world's best players will once again gather to answer the question, who's the greatest poker player in the world? Catch Poker Superstars 2. That's Sunday at 8 p.m. only on FSN Rocky Mountain. First pitch to Barmes misses, ball 1. Barmes line single to left in the 1st inning. Plenty of movement there. 1-1.
Anytime you say get a pitcher and he's working all these corners and then he's dropping the hook straight down on you, it's just not fun.
Ooh. Good swing by Barmes. Shows you what kind of hand speed he has. That was up in the strike zone. He got to the fastball, and it was really a breaking ball count.
Yeah, 90-mile-an-hour fastball that he's trying to work inside to make him aware of the pitch in. And then they take that breaking ball there to the outside part of the plate.
And Gonzalez, nice transition. Quickly getting rid of the baseball. Barmes is gone 6-3. How about that infield? Lowell, Gonzalez, and Castillo have started 506 games together. There have only been 2 other trios to start that many games together on the same team since 1970. One of them's pretty easy to figure out, George. You competed against these guys, Lopes,
Yep.
Russell, and Say in Los Angeles.
Garvey was there also with him.
Yeah, I mean, they were all the whole infield was together. It's a base hit for Helton to left field. The other trio, the Detroit Tigers, and you always thought about Whitaker and Trammell up the middle, but
Dwight Evans.
Well, it wasn't Dwight Evans. I had to think
Not
about
Dwight,
it. It's
but
Tom Brookins.
Brookins was at 3rd.
Yeah, he was at 3rd. 625 games together for that trio with the Tigers in the 70s into the 80s. And the group we mentioned with the Dodgers played 921 games together. This doesn't happen much anymore, but you want solid defense. You want continuity. They've got it in Florida with Lowell, Gonzalez, and Castillo. Now they plug in Delgado this year. And the curveball misses.
Well, Mussina picked up a win today, 5-0. He shut out Oakland. That'll make Steinbrenner somewhat happy. The turmoil that's going on there has been crazy.
Bouncing ball at Luis Castillo to Alex Gonzalez, and the Rockies are done in their half of the third inning. No score. Josh Beckett's on his game. Rockies on all the hits in the ball game as we go to the bottom of the third. They've had a runner thrown out at the plate. Sean Chacon had a base hit with 2 outs, and Matt Holliday at second base. Holliday was thrown out at the plate, standing up on a very good throw by Miguel Cabrera. Beckett up there for the first time.
Well, you always try to put that plant foot down strong, but as you can see, it hit and slipped. Now, a lot of times what happens, just so you know, that all these mounds look kind of a beige or a lighter dirt, but under that is a very stiff red clay. It gets watered, it gets hard. If you don't plant that foot down, you have a tendency to skate a little bit, like what happened to Chacon.
2-2 as the curveball was way outside. Josh Beckett, 135 career hitter, but against the Rockies in Denver, he blitzed a double in the gap to drive in 2 against Jamie Wright, and it's on the ground at Clint Barmes. Beckett is gone for the first out, and that'll bring to the plate Juan Pierre. Pierre walked for just the 5th time this year in the bottom of the first. Juan walked last night with the bases loaded to drive in a run.
You know, one of the questions asked Clint Hurdle earlier this year was, well, Miles doesn't walk very much. This guy's a pretty good leadoff hitter, and he hardly ever walks. It doesn't matter whether you're setting the table or not for the big guys.
Well, I think that managers would love their leadoff man to have an on-base percentage ideally above 370, 375. I mean, if you have an on-base percentage at 400, I mean, that'd be fabulous for a leadoff guy. But some guys are going to, you don't want to take the aggressive nature away. And one thing that Clint points out about Aaron Miles is that unlike a year ago in the first part of the season when Miles was swinging at pitches and getting himself out, he's swinging at strikes. It's not as if he's swinging at ball 4 and he's so overly aggressive he's given away an opportunity to be on base.
His on base percentage, Aaron Miles, right at 300.
He walked for the first time the other day.
You know, the one thing that you've got to be aware of with Pierre, because he handles the bat, he has such great back control, that even with 2 strikes, and I saw him do it in the Rockies uniform, and I've seen him do it in the Florida uniform. If he gets in a fastball situation, he will lay a bunt down with 2 strikes. Yeah, a little bit inside. Speed guys hate for the ball to be thrown at the feet. Imagine that.
I don't know. Big slow guys want the ball thrown at their feet either.
You know what? Big slow guys, they don't like it in the ribs. Fast guys don't like it in the feet and the legs. It takes away their game from them.
2-2, and then it's hacked foul. And that ball cuts inside. 3 balls and 2 strikes. That fastball he just threw, the hardest ball he's thrown all night, 89 miles an hour on that heater. And he got Pierre to go fishing on a pitch that was out of the strike zone. Took something off, and that ball really moved away from Pierre.
83 miles an hour after an 89 mile an hour fastball inside. And it's just the late movement. A lot of movement right at the very end of this pitch. You see the ball just sail away from Pierre, just swings at it. It's more or less a self-defense, foul it off and get something better to hit. Just didn't happen.
First strikeout of the ball game for Chacon. Castillo line off of Chacon's glove into the glove of Barmes. It turned into a double play in the first inning. It was one of the stranger plays you will see. Pierre was going on the pitch. And that's out of the strike zone, 3-0. This ball game's somewhat familiar to the ball game last night. Good pitching matchup between Dontrelle Willis and Joe Kennedy. It was 1-0 into the 6th. And Castillo on 4 pitches. And just comes and goes for Chacon. That's his 4th walk. Let's give you an update on Joe Kennedy. This was the 6th inning. Juan Encarnacion up last night with a runner at first and a 1-hopper off the lower leg. We thought it was up around the ankle area, and then he threw it away. It was actually down much closer to the foot, and he was very fortunate. It hit soft tissue, and he has quite a bruise, and he's still on crutches. He will definitely miss 1 start, but if that hits a bone, Delgado to Miles, if that hit a bone, you may have been looking at a fracture and a situation where Kennedy would be out for a protracted length of time. So a good quote-unquote break for the Rockies. No score. Well, let's get you caught up. Our game reset presented by Taco Bell. Matt Holliday was hit by a pitch by Beckett, and he moved to second after Green was hit by a pitch, and Chacon with a single, and Holliday could not score. He was tagged out standing up on the great throw by Cabrera, even though Miles was telling him to get down. Beckett has been very good. He's had the outstanding curveball, and we are scoreless as we go to the 4th inning. Brad Hopp, Matt Holliday, and Todd Green to face Beckett. The Marlins lead baseball as a pitching staff in ERA. Their ERA at 2.64, and their starters are even better than that. They're at 2.55. Not going to lose a lot of games when the other team doesn't score, or scores rather infrequently. The shutout last night was the 2nd time this year the Rockies have been shut out. Arizona shut them out earlier 2-0. Brad Hopp fouls it off, and it's quickly a 2-strike count. And there's the curveball. Third strikeout of the ball game for Beckett. Holliday coming up. Here's what's on tap, brought to you by Budweiser. The Rockies and Marlins will conclude this series on UPN 20 beginning tomorrow morning at 11. Then Atlanta comes to town. That's in there for a strike to Holliday. 6 p.m. on FSN, the pregame show Monday. Tuesday, 6 p.m., the pregame show on FSN. And then Wednesday, a 1 p.m. ball game on FSN Rocky Mountain. And another good curveball. It's 0-2. The pitching rotation for the Atlanta Braves. Tim Hudson will go on Monday. The former Rocky John Thompson on Tuesday, and then John Smoltz on Wednesday afternoon.
And Smoltz has really gotten it straightened out in his last 3 or 4 starts. Thompson with a 3-hit complete ball game in his last outing. And Hudson has adapted very well to the National League. His record doesn't reflect his success as far as earned run average. 3-1, 2.18 earned run average.
You know, Beckett is just pumping strikes in the zone with the fastball and the curveball. It's reminiscent of last night with Dontrelle Willis. Listen to these numbers. He threw 110 pitches last night. Willis did 80 for strikes.
Well, that's the big key too, plus the velocity change that they have, that whenever you throw a 90 to 95 mile an hour fastball and you back it up with a 72 mile an hour change, you know, a curveball, you're talking about 23 to 25 mile an hour adjustment that a hitter has to make.
That's just good pitching by Beckett. Curveball, 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 and then the express at 95. Affleck trivia question: who are the 4 active big league pitchers with 10 straight years of 10+ wins and 150+ innings pitched? Green hits the ball in the air well, left center field. It is playable out there to Miguel Cabrera. 1-2-3 inning for Beckett. Middle of 4, no score.
Key Flyer, Sunday nights at 10 on Rockies Weekly.
Here's the Duck, our Affleck trivia question. The 4 pitchers with 10 straight seasons of 10+ wins and 150+ innings pitched. And they are 4 names you are familiar with. Greg Maddux, now the Cubs. Tom Glavine, now with the Mets. Mike Mussina, now with the Yankees. Now Leiter, back with Florida. And the Rockies will see Al Leiter tomorrow afternoon. Miguel Cabrera will lead things off against Sean Chacon. Curveball. Evidently just inside ball 1. Cabrera walked and reached second base. He's the only Marlin to reach second base in the ball game. Fastball for a strike, 1-1. Game 2 of a 6-game homestand for Florida. They have the Houston Astros coming in on Monday, while the Rockies are tussling with the Braves. First hit of the ball game for Florida, and Hop got over there in a hurry, and then the strong arm and a strike to Clint Barmes. That's just showing off the arm. If you had any thought down the road and maybe taking an extra base on Brad Hop, think about that throw.
Well, here's the key to it, is that more and more scouts are saying not only is it strong, his accuracy has improved tremendously, but the form is right there with it also. He's thinking about it. He's looking down that right field line. He said, whoa, wait just a minute. He got over there in a hurry.
Fastball's up to Encarnacion. Juan 3 for 5 in last night's ball game. Broke out of a mini slide. He was 7 for 36 in his previous 10 ball games. He already owns a couple of grand slams this year. And it's not close. 3-0. Now you're creating a problem for yourself. Leadoff base hit, and you're 3-0 on the next hitter. Chacon has walked 4. No team in baseball has walked as many as the Rockies this year. They probably figured that out, though. And ball 4. 5 walks, 2 on, nobody out. You talk about the little things in tight games. Little things become big things. The Rockies lead the National League with 141 walks. The Cubs are next at 125. Keep in mind something else about this graphic. The Rockies have played fewer games than those other teams on the list because of the washouts last week against Florida.
Well, and you look at the standings right now of those ball clubs. Washington over 500. The New York Mets 2 games over 500. The other clubs have struggled. Chicago 4 games under 500. You all know the Rockies game at 16-20. You throw strikes, you get people out, you have an opportunity.
And LaDuca lays down a bunt.
That's exactly what you want to do. Bunt it hard enough that it makes the third baseman come get the baseball, and it doesn't allow Chacon to get off the mound and make a play. So watch right here. You bunt the ball hard. Now Chacon has no play to come get the baseball, so there's not a play at third. You accomplish exactly what you wanted. Advance the runner. So many times in his career, Lowell has responded after plays like that from LaDuca. to drive these 2 runs in. He struggled this year. Lowell with just 9 RBIs.
Let me ask you this. Do you put Lowell on?
Well, that would enter my thought. But the problem, Drew, that you run into is Chacon hasn't given Clint the confidence to be able to throw strikes to the next guy.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, so now you walk him. You've got 5 walks already in 4 innings.
And the reason I say that, Gonzalez is hitting 235 behind him. It's kind of a big swing or miss guy. And then you have the pitcher behind Gonzalez. But the Rockies clearly are going after Mike Lowell. 1-1. Shaq walked 7 in his last outing in LA, but for the most part wiggled out of jams like this. 2-1. And I think if you asked any manager, any pitching coach, heck, any position player in baseball, if you're going to give up runs, you'd rather see the ball knocked all over the ballpark rather than ball 4.
Sure. Oh, absolutely you would.
Where's that? This low, evidently. 3-1. The other thing is when you're inconsistent throwing strikes, you're not going to get borderline pitches.
No, you're not. And I mean, it looks good there. Continue to roll it as it drops down in the strike zone. Green did everything he could to try to hold it there. Well, they didn't intentionally walk him, but they walked him. 6th walk of the ball game for Chacon.
Bases loaded for Alex Gonzalez. We have seen more innings this year, George, against the Rockies where a team will come up with 2 or 3 runs and you look down and you say, what would they have, 3 or 4 hits? And there'll be 1 hit or 2 hits. Popped up. Infield fly rule. And now in foul ground, it's taken. And now the Rockies have a golden opportunity to get out of this mess. Josh Beckett coming up.
Well, remember one thing about Beckett. He can swing the bat a little bit. It's not a given out. And I go back to the game with the Rockies.
He had the double off right to drive in 2.
In the 7th inning.
Starts him out with a curveball at the knees for a strike. So Chacon giving Beckett some respect. Ground ball at Barnes. And the Rockies will get out of it. There was a hit and 2 walks. The Marlins leave them loaded. We'll go to the 5th. Still scoreless. Strength checking. North Dade County on the border. Broward County. Dolphin Stadium, inland from the water, several miles. Josh Beckett in the top of the 5th will see Garrett Atkins, Sean Chacon, and Aaron Miles. Well, not surprisingly, with all the walks, the pitch count starting to shoot up for Chacon. He's through 4 innings, but he's thrown 71 pitches. And all that does is then refocus your attention later in the ball game on a bullpen that has been shaky, to be kind.
He needs to have a 6-7 pitch inning.
A couple of them. Atkins takes a ball there. It's 1-1. Atkins struck out in the 2nd inning against Josh Beckett. The ball has so much movement. LaDuca's a guy, George, with quiet hands. You see how he had to catch that ball?
Well, when it's late movement, they're trying to not only catch it in the strike zone, but they're trying to save their thumb through too when it's coming in at 90 miles an hour. Throw that kind of sinker with that kind of movement.
That ball hit with authority, but Juan Pierre's right there. Let's get it to Denver. Get an update around baseball from Keith Flyer. Keith?
The San Diego Padres are surging, Drew. Mark Sweeney, thanks to the rally squirrel. Hits a double to right field off Chris Carpenter, and the Pods have won 6 in a row. They beat the Cardinals today, 5-4. Back to Florida.
Well, Bruce Bochy, being a smart manager, getting Sweeney some at-bats. Yesterday, Sweeney had 3 at-bats, had a couple of hits and 3 RBIs. He's back at it tonight, evidently. Keith, thanks for the update. 1-0 on Chacon. He had a sharp single to left against Beckett in the 2nd inning, and the Rockies had the best scoring chance of this ball game. Matt Holliday was thrown out at the plate by Miguel Cabrera, however. Has he had a 3-ball count, Beckett?
He has had 1 3-ball count. Well, he walked
out, so obviously he did have one of those. That was back in the 1st inning.
It's been a while, though.
Boy, that was nasty. See how sharp break late. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Chacon. This has been a most difficult stretch for a young, inexperienced team on the road, and it seems like every night they have faced one of the top pitchers in the game. Strikeout number 5 for Beckett. Rocky struck out 11 times last night. Willis had 10 of those. It matched Willis's career high.
Yeah, by the way, just handed a note that Beckett now has had 2 3-ball counts in the game. So worked ahead. You see the results, 4 2/3, only 1 walk and 5 strikeouts.
Chacon has had 9 3-ball counts in 4 innings, and Beckett's gone 4 2/3. Man, that thing buzzed back over the inside corner again. Miles, a bounce out and a strikeout. This is how good his stuff is. You don't see Miles swing and miss frequently.
No, you don't. But look at the movement on that breaking ball. And remember, in a 1 at-bat prior to this, in the 3rd inning, he was struck out with a hard curveball.
Classic pitch, and he goes above his hands there. And Miles fouls it off.
Change the eye level, change the direction, add velocity, take velocity off. Beckett's doing a little bit of all that.
Beckett, a former #1 out of Spring, Texas. On the ground, Luis Castillo, another 1, 2, 3 innings, 7 in a row now, set down by Josh Beckett. 3 hits for the Rockies, 1 for the Marlins. That's it. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning. Sean Chacon, Josh Beckett hooked up in a scoreless duo with George Frazier. I'm Drew Goodman. Juan Pierre will lead things off. Then Luis Castillo and Carlos Delgado. We talked about it a few moments ago. Sean Chacon's in desperate need of a low pitch inning. On 2 of 3 occasions with Pierre, Chacon has started him out with a changeup. And the fastball's fouled back 1-1. In the air to Matt Holliday in left field. And let's go to Denver again and visit with Keith Blyer. Keith.
The Reds and the Dodgers, boys, and I'm not sure if it's payback after giving up 10 runs in the 1st inning yesterday, but Austin Kearns hits a homer in a 6th-run 6th. And the Dodgers lose to Cincinnati 11-3. Back to Dolphin Stadium.
All right, thanks very much, Keith. Castillo takes strike 1. And a a base hit to center field. Wilson will cut it off. He was over in the left center field gap. 1 out, 1 on.
Let's see if Jack McKeon with 1 out and a knotted up game here in the 5th, if he starts to roll the bases a little bit. Castillo with 3 steals and 4 attempts this year. Delgado, a left-handed hitter, has pulled the ball a couple of times in his early at-bats to cover up the hole. Miles deep over at the there. Now, in this situation, you get a ball hit to the left side of the infield. Normally you don't, but if you do, it'll be important because of the defensive alignment. The Barmes will have to take the throw from Atkins. There's no way that Miles can get there with the defense set up the way it is.
Castillo takes off. Green's throw on line and not quite in time. So Castillo is now 4 of 5 stealing bases this year. He's a little more selective the last couple of seasons than he used to be. He has a couple of 50-plus steal seasons.
And not that quick of a jump either. You see the head first slide and a quick tag by Barmes. Now you watch it here. See the hand just come in right underneath the tag, tagged on the shoulder. Here's your keys. Freeze it up if we can. If we don't want to miss pitch it. Watch this foot go up. As soon as it goes up, he takes off. That's their biggest key.
2-0 on Delgado. Shaq gives a look to Castillo. "23 attempted stolen bases by the opposition this year. The Rockies have caught 1. "3-0 on Delgado. Cabrera's up next. And ball 4. That is walk number 7. Pitches for Chacon. Cabrera's 1 for 1. And a walk. Walked in the 2nd, singled in the 4th inning. He had the first hit of the ball game for Florida. They only have 2. The other one you just saw from Castillo. The line drive down the right field line that was cut off nicely by Hop. This is popped up right side toward the seats. Helton gives it a look, but it's back about a dozen rows.
Even though you hover at 82, 83 miles an hour with your fastball, you reach back, get a little extra and jump it to 86, 87. That extra 4 miles an hour on a hitter after he's been through the lineup a couple of times. This 3rd time these hitters have seen Chacon now. That it's enough to just get ahead of the bat, just enough to get something in the air and hopefully get an out. You see those numbers rise as it gets to that 3rd time through.
Base hit, Wilson charging. Castillo can really run, and then Preston couldn't come up with it cleanly, and going to 3rd is Delgado. And the Marlins have broken the ice. They lead it 1-0. So a hit, a stolen base, and then a walk behind it, and then you get a soft liner to center. You have yourself a run, and runners at 1st and 3rd.
Watch Castillo get his lead there. When he realizes this ball's out, Wilson knows that he's got to hurry to get to the baseball. Gets under it just off the end of the glove. There's Castillo with that move there. Look at him now. Boy, now watch how he cut that back. An easy turn into the plate area.
Well, that's a good example of what you were talking about earlier, George. A little more direct route, closest line between 2 points, a straight line. Obviously, when you're coming around.
Well, here's what we're talking about. Talking about just as he comes into the 3rd base bag. Watch how he hits that bag and leans, and you don't see a big wide turn onto the grass. Right foot hits. You're taught to hit it with that left foot. He hits it with the right foot, strides right over it and right into position and gets on into the plate area.
But still, it was not as dramatic an arc as Matt Holliday had earlier in the ball game.
No, not at all. Well, part of it is, too, the way you take your lead at 2nd. A lot of guys will take a deeper lead into the outfield side of the bag and get farther back. Two things, it looks as if you're closer to the bag in the eyes of the pitcher. It's a deception thing. But you're actually farther away. And as the pitch is thrown, you take a couple of steps forward and a couple of steps towards the third base bag when you're actually about 4 or 5 feet behind the base paths. I mean, you're behind it, so you can take a wider turn coming into the bag and take a narrow turn to the plate.
Here comes Apodaca, the bases loaded, and Encarnacion, the 8th walk. You look up on the board and you say, wow, Chacon's throwing a 2-hitter. Well, you might as well throw up another 8 singles. He's really throwing a 10-hitter.
Here's something key for me, and I looked at, we've talked about this statistic where the Rockies have scored, what innings they've scored, what the opposition has done in the 5th, 6th, and 7th inning. And we've mentioned this a lot. I have 85 to 35. In the series against the Marlins, to be it, there's only been 2 games, 2.5 now. The Rockies have been outscored in those middle 3 innings, 13 to nothing. Here you are in the 5th inning again, and things starting to happen, not in a good way for the Rockies. 11 3-ball counts for Chacon to go along with 8 walks.
LaDuca turns and rifles it foul. Rockies playing the infield back, looking for 2. 1 out, bases loaded, and he went around. LaDuca got tied up and trying to get out of the way.
Well, part of this, Drew, as a hitter, once you start your motion to go swing, you can't stay out of the way. So he's trying to check his swing and then bail at the same time to keep from getting hit by the baseball. Obviously, when you rotate left, that bat's got to come through.
Fastball in the air to Wilson. And Preston's throw goes to third. Delgado scores to make it 2-0 on the sac fly. That's very good 0-2 hitting there by Paul LaDuca. We mentioned it earlier. LaDuca does not strike out much. He gets the bat to the baseball.
Well, why 0-2 are you anywhere near the plate with it? Throw the breaking ball down and away off the plate a little bit. Throw the fastball in above the hands.
It looked like that fastball was up and in.
Well, watch where the pitch is, though. See where the location is or where they want it. They want that pitch in here. You want it way on his fist. That ball's more catching the inside corner of the plate versus in on his hands.
Lowell has walked twice in the game. Cabrera at second and Encarnacion at first. 2-0 Florida. One is popped up out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Rockies used Jay Witasic last night.
Well, that really had a tough situation to come into. Nobody out, 2nd and 3rd. Warm up in the middle of the field. Didn't get the job done last night. His earned run average right now, not what you like to see. 1350. A couple of strikeouts in 2 2/3 innings.
Good pitch, long run Helton and also Chacon, and neither could get there. Shaq turns back to make sure Todd's okay.
Yeah, you're playing deep. I mean, if you're Helton, you're 10, 15, 20 feet behind it. And this ball got right in on the fist of Lowell, so it's not going to travel very far. It's just up into the air. And Chacon points thinking Helton has a chance. It does what he's supposed to do. I mean, really great effort by Shaq to try to get there and catch it. Lucky he didn't have a couple of turned ankles on the follow-through and the jump. There's Shaq's line. The pitches here in the fifth, 23, 94 for the total.
Well, he always uses a barometer, George, 15. There's not been one inning where he's been 15 or less. This is hit on one hop to Miles. He'll flip to Barmes, and that's all for the Marlins. But in the fifth, they come up with a couple of runs. 2-0, the Marlins leading, despite the fact that they have only 3 hits in the ball game. See, there's another situation. The Rockies give up 2 runs that last inning. There were only 2 hits, singles. You can give up 2-3 runs, low hit totals when you give up home runs. 8 walks for Chacon, just 1 for Beckett, who's pounded the strike zone all evening. And that misses to Barmes. Barmes is 1 for 2 in the ball game. Hey, for every home run the Rockies hit during tonight's game and during all 12 La Porte de Plata games in 2005, Coors Brewing Company will donate $500 to Sam Sandos's Christmas baskets. Christmas in May. And Barmes has himself another hit. So that 388 average will rise a little bit. And what's been impressive about Barmes, you see so many times through the years, the guys have a solid average, but if you look at the splits, they're hitting 400 at Coors Field and 240 on the road, and it computes to a 300 average or so. Not with Barmes this year. He's hitting at home. He's hitting on the road. Helton 1 for 1 and a walk. Rockies a chance maybe to get back in it here. On the corner, 1-1.
.96 with that last fastball from Beckett.
How about this? Beckett's 24. I mentioned he'll be 25 next weekend. Dontrelle Willis is 23. He'll be 23 throughout this season. Burnett is 28. That's fouled off. Pretty good nucleus.
That they will keep around for a while. They'll find the money to keep those 3 guys here. They realize, unless they start getting hurt or something happens of that nature where they miss a lot of starts during the course of a year. Otherwise, they're not going anywhere.
Helton line drive. It's snagged by Gonzalez, and Barmes scrambles back to first. Fine play by Alex Gonzalez, taking a base hit away from Todd Helton.
Well, you can't hit it any harder. Helton with a base hit to the opposite field earlier in this ball game. Fastball away, tailing away from Gonzalez. He just flat lays out. Helton's reaction is can't buy a hit. Killed it right on the button.
Well, that brings up Wilson. You know, the Rockies at 6-20. Not exactly how you want to start a season. But for those who are eternal optimists, we'll show you a graphic here in a moment. Preston takes a curveball for a strike. Not impossible. It is unlikely that you start 6-20 and all of a sudden you become a 85-90 win team, but it's happened. In fact, in 1986, the Reds started 6-19. They went 86-76. and several other examples. 69 Astros, 73 Cardinals, 500 teams. Good eye by Wilson, 2-1. Get an update on the Phillies and Cubs from Keith Blyer in a moment. 2-0 Florida. One out in the Rockies' sixth. Barmes at first. He singled. He has 2 of the 4 hits for the Rockies tonight. Gloved it low to Castillo. Good job, but it doesn't matter. I was going to say good job by Barnes to spill Castillo. He did his job, but Castillo leaped in the air and got enough on the throw to turn the double play. That's why he owns a couple of Gold Gloves. 2-0 Marlins.
Well, the Rockies have had a couple of opportunities. Helton lines out in this inning, and Barmes with a great slide into second base on a hard hit ball by Wilson to third. Watch how he goes into this bag, and as he reaches up with the hand to try to disrupt the throw, hooks the foot. Nice slide by Barmes, tries to break it up. Trouble was there was a Gold Glover receiving it and throwing it to first base, doing a pretty good job of it.
1-1 on Alex Gonzalez. This will be the last inning in all likelihood for Chacon. His pitch count approaching 100. Sharply hit through the hole. First hit in the series for Gonzalez. Josh Beckett up there. He'll be bunting. 2-0 Florida. He gets it down. Shaq has one play. It's to Miles. And Brian Fuentes is now up. Brian pitched 2/3 of an inning last night. The one pitcher the Rockies may stay away from. I mean, you could go to him today, but as this weekend moves to Sunday, they may stay away from Jose Acevedo. And the reason I say that is Kennedy almost assuredly is going to miss his next start. So the Rockies could bring up somebody like Matt Anderson when they get back home, extra bullpen guy, and Acevedo, the most likely guy you would think to start a ball game in an emergency situation. Kennedy's next turn is Wednesday.
Well, that's the name we keep hearing, Matt Anderson, and in the conferences you have with Clint Hurdle prior to games every day. You mentioned Matt Anderson progressing very well the last 3 days. Another guy that threw the ball pretty good, has 2 out of the last 3 starts. And everybody knows it. Jason Young, they kind of changed an arm slot, moved some things around on him, has pitched a little bit better. It's the one area of the Rockies that AA and AAA still in that developmental stage. The guys they're not quite ready to come to the big leagues as starters yet.
Yeah, their best prospects in terms of starting pitching is in the lower minor leagues.
103 pitches now for Shaq in the ballgame.
9 walks in 5 1/3. And I know we keep mentioning it, and the last thing in the world that Sean Chacon's trying to do, just like every other guy who's taking the hill, is to walk people. They know that they have to throw strikes, but evidently it's far easier to say that than to execute it right now for the Rockies as a staff.
Yeah, making sure they're on the same game plan with Castillo, a guy that will slap and run. Will not be easy to turn this double play over with Pierre at first and Castillo at the plate.
Rockies don't have another off day until the 16th. That's a week from this coming Monday. And with Kennedy going down last night, bullpen had to eat up some innings. Pick play, and that goes into center field.
You watch the remainder of this play, it's all about daylight and firing, but you fire over the top of the bag. Shack wide a second. No chance for Barmes to get to the baseball, and now you really get yourself in a predicament. Second and third and one out. Yeah, you're infield in, you got to cut the run down at the plate.
Left field. Holiday will align himself. Gonzalez at third, and he will not test the arm this time. Gonzalez is not real fleet of foot. So that's the second out. And also they'll allow Delgado to swing the bat. Let's check in Denver with Keith Flyer. Keith?
Drew, it seems every day these days the Cubs are losing a game in the ninth inning. Top of the ninth, bases loaded. Jose Offerman into right field. 2-run score for the Phillies. Chicago has lost 7 in a row, and they're booing on the north side of Chicago. Back in Florida.
They've been doing more booing than anything else in Chicago this year. Clint Hurdle's going to go and get Sean Chacon to let Fuentes deal with Delgado. We'll come back to Florida. Marlins leading the Rockies 2-0. Brian Fuentes on to try to retire Carlos Delgado. Alex Gonzalez at third, Juan Pierre at second. Swung on and missed. Fuentes has been the most reliable pitcher out of the Rockies bullpen. The opposition hitting just 178 against Bryant.
Yeah, the only thing there, like the rest of the Rockies staff, a high number of walks for coming out of the bullpen. 9 and 12 and 2/3 innings. Delgado 1 for 3 lifetime versus Fuentes.
He hits this one high in deep center field. Wilson going back, still going back, and he will get there. And Preston turned and fired. I think he forgot how many outs there were. A long fly out off the bat of Delgado. Amazingly, despite all the walks, it's just a 2-0 ball game.
Hey kids, it's that time of year again. Time for the Safeway Read It program. Read It is the elementary school literacy program sponsored by Safeway. Have fun reading for 20 minutes a day, 20 days a month. Fill out the Read It calendar available at your neighborhood Safeway store. When it's completed, mail it in. You'll have the chance to win 4 awesome seats to a Colorado sporting event. Plus, an FSN personality will swing by your classroom for story time. Grab your books. It's time to read it. Sponsored by Safeway and Fox Sports Net.
Major League Baseball is back on Fox.
And he can keep on running. Let's check the game reset. Brought to you by Coors Light. Luis Castillo with a base hit. Miguel Cabrera got a base hit. There was a walk sandwiched in there. And that's how the first run came around. And then Paul LaDuca, a sac fly. That allowed Delgado to score. You're up to date offensively, 2-0. Josh Beckett working a shutout right now. Brad Hopp will lead things off in the 7th inning. And he grounds the ball through the right side for a base hit. So the leadoff man aboard. The Rockies have had the leadoff man on 2 innings now. Last inning, Barmes reached on a base hit. He was eventually erased on a double play ground out by Preston Wilson.
By the way, the final numbers on Chacon, 9 walks in the ball game, second most in Rockies history. Jennings holds that distinction with 10
earlier this year. That's a career most for Chacon. This ball is driven with some authority to right, but it's playable. And gathered in there by Encarnacion. So Holiday's the first out of the inning. That'll bring up Todd Green. A little bit more on Sean Chacon. He gave up 4 hits in 5 2/3. The 9 walks, obviously alarming, especially coming off a ball game in which he walked 7. But George, amazingly, his ERA is going to go down. It was a 3.27 coming in, which was the best on the staff of the Colorado Rockies, and it will go down. Jack, impeccable control his first 2 outings this year, and the last 3 he's walked 4, 7, and 9. But to his credit, he has been able to keep the Rockies in games when he has not had his command. Rockies are down just a couple of runs. In-game box, Barmes a couple of hits. Green was hit by a pitch. That's why he's just 0 for 1. 3-0. That's the first time Beckett's been 3-0 in the ball game. And just his 3rd 3-ball count. Green, a great fastball hitter. Another reason he's in the lineup tonight. See if he can run into one. Tie this thing up in a jiffy. We were speculating about Jose Acevedo, and Rockies staying away from him coming up. They may go to him tonight. There's Acevedo. The potential start would come on Wednesday, and again, we're just speculating that he'll be the guy. Swung on and missed. So after falling behind 3-0 to Todd Green, Beckett comes all the way back and gets his 6th strikeout of the game.
Well, that's pretty good speculation, too. I mean, he's the one guy last year with the number of starts he had with Cincinnati.
I mean, really throughout his career, George, that's what he's been.
And he's worked out of the bullpen. Nobody in the Rockies bullpen has been a starter to the point where they were stretched out in spring training. Acevedo's been more accustomed to it. He's just done it more than everyone else.
Well, the Rockies got a leadoff hit from Hoff, but then Beckett got Holiday, Green, and Atkins in succession. It remains 2-0 stretch time in Miami. 2-0 Florida with George Frazier. I'm Drew Goodman. Just 9 hits in the ball game. The Rockies own 5 of them. But they're down by a couple of runs. Desi Relaford on a double switch has come into the ball game. Garrett Atkins goes out, so Relaford will lead off next inning. The new pitcher is Jose Acevedo, making his 7th appearance in a Rockies uniform. He'll face Cabrera, Encarnacion, and Paul LaDuca. Cabrera 2 for 2 and a walk in the game. Cabrera, one of the bright young stars in baseball. Miguel is just 22 from Venezuela, coming off a season in which he hit .294 with 33 home runs and 112 runs batted in. He was a big part of their World Championship run the second half of the year when he came up 2 years ago. Marlins champions of baseball in '97 and 2003. And there are plenty of reminders around the ballpark. And there ought to be when you win it all.
Absolutely, there should be. And of course, Al Leiter won it in '97 with his ball club. Now here he comes back this year as a free agent with him.
Acevedo with a good looking slider, just missed 1 and 2. Cabrera's 10 for his last 19 at the plate, with 6 runs batted in. And another hit for Cabrera. Tune in Sunday at 10 for Rockies Weekly. Go beyond the diamond for an exclusive look at Major League Life with the Rockies. Join Keith Blyer, Gary and Boyle. That's Rockies Weekly Sunday at 10 p.m. Again, Encarnacion, second time tonight, we've seen him square around to sacrifice bunt. Actually, Jack McKeon wants to expand that 2-run lead, but ordinarily you don't see your 5-hole hitter bunting. Not unless you're talking about ninth inning situation. And even then, maybe not.
Well, there's always a reason behind the madness of maybe why he's trying to do that. McKeon does play a little bit of a small ball type of game, but that would be alarming to me. Encarnacion 0 for 3 lifetime versus Acevedo.
That's low. BP Juan Encarnacion, who has tremendous raw power. This is a big stadium. It's only 330 down the left field line, but George, that upper deck, see where it says Jim Langer, Paul Warfield?
It's too far away.
Okay, now get in a little closer. Right? There you go. It is too far away. Encarnacion went into that upper deck. What a bunt. It's got to go foul. Relaford, smart play. Let it go foul.
Well, absolutely. It could be. And that was not a sacrifice. That was a bunt for a base hit.
Anyhow, Encarnacion hit one up there in batting practice. And I don't care if it's 5:05 or in the middle of a ball game. You go upper tank here. As Andres Galarraga
right here. This is where he's going. All right, pull back and go up about 45 rows. Stop. This is where Galarraga went. So look at the difference.
It's still a long way.
Yeah, most guys rent a cab just to get there.
Yeah, that's not on the same bus route. You got to
change. You got to change.
Yeah, you got to change up. He got underneath that one. It's going to go foul. He got the barrel on it, but underneath it. And he hit it about 4 miles high, and it drops in the Rockies bullpen.
Yeah, Holiday put up both hands like, where was it? I mean, he did not see the baseball after it got up into the sky. I mean, he just looking around like, where did it go?
Nobody out. Cabrera at first. And that'll be a base hit. Duca steps up with 2 on. Fly ball right field, a sac bunt, and a sac fly. 14 RBIs on the season for Paul, who makes his offseason home in San Antonio, and he owns several racehorses in Southern California, so he was most interested in today's Kentucky Derby. So I'll have to watch a tape of it since the Derby went off about 6:07 p.m. in the East, and the ball game started at 6:05. LaDuca refined his batting eye, believe it or not. I've told this story before a couple of years ago. His mom, when he was growing up, Used to sit down on a bucket and fire pinto beans at him. You can hit pinto beans, George. You're probably going to have pretty good hand-eye coordination to hit a baseball.
Yeah, the modern-day guys now throwing those little bitty wiffle balls that look like golf balls. They'll throw those at the kids. That's a big thing that guys will use to help increase their ability to pick up the baseball.
Ball and 2 strikes. Jorge LaDuca doesn't strike out much, just 7 times this year in 86 at bats. To right field and deep. Hop will get there. Nice running catch. Tagging up is Cabrera. He'll go to the third base. Tell you what, Hop's getting better jumps on the baseball, George, and taking pretty good routes. Let's get to the studio again. Keith Blyer in Denver. Another baseball update. Keith?
Nice backhand by Hopper there. Drew and George, I know you know this, but for our viewers, the best team in baseball thus far, the White Sox. Konerko hits 2. They win again. They're 23-7, having knocked off Toronto. Back to you.
Well, the White Sox 23-7. Best mark in baseball. Twins chasing them there. I mean, they have a nice record. The Twins are 17-11, but they're 5 back. It is early. Mike Lowell, a couple of walks and a fielder's choice. And he fouls this one off.
I think everybody thought the Indians might play a more prominent role in that division, and they may very well yet. I mean, they're starting to play a little better baseball.
They're hitting .226 as a team, which is the worst mark in the game. I told you this last night. Ronnie Belliard, their leadoff hitter and the one-time Rocky, is leading them in home runs and RBIs.
Yeah, they're just 4 games under 500, though, but they're 9.5 back of the Chicago White Sox. Detroit right there with them at 12-16.
On Lowell. There's the AL Central. Tigers improved. Encarnacion will draw a throw. He can run a little bit. He had 19 stolen bases with Florida in 2003. And you go way back, 99, way back, but with Detroit, he stole 33 bases 1 year. Talking about Encarnacion at first. Doesn't move again. That pitch is outside. 1-2. It has not been in a runner's count. The teams have been very aggressive against the Rockies because they've thrown out just 1 runner all year. There he goes, 1-2. And it's hit in the air to Holiday and left. Wilson coming on now. And Holiday can't hold the baseball, and Cabrera will score. He was concerned about running into Wilson, and the throw to second is not in time. And there was a safe call, and you know what? All you need is a force. You just have to touch. There's no tag, and that's what Hurdle's going out to talk to Bruce Fromy about to make sure he realized that a tag need not be applied. It was kind of strange. I don't know why it took Encarnacion so long to get to second base.
goes up in the air. All right, he's got to go back on the steal here. Let's see if he gets backed and retracts, gets over there. And whoa, and now the ball's dropped. He's watching the throw to go home, looks at his first base coach, and then jumps in there. Looked like the ball beat him to me.
It did look like the ball beat him. The Rockies have committed 3 errors in the ball game.
Second one for Matt Holliday, not in the ball game, but overall for the year. He had a little confusion there with Preston Wilson in center field on who was going to take the baseball. There you go, right here. I mean, he comes over. See, now he stretches out because he's not sure where Preston is. As Preston peeled off of it, and Holliday bullet all the way to the plate, then the throw down to second. Yeah. Well, you look at it now, it's pretty clear. It beats him by about 6-8 inches. I think Bruce Stroming messed it up. And I just think that he couldn't cover it up and change it back. I mean, I really believe that. I think he
broken bat roller at Helton. He'll get the force at second, 2 outs.
Well, Beckett's been called back. They'll go to their bench.
Well, he's in the high 90s in terms of pitch count. Mid to high 90s, 96. And they'll go to Conine. And that'll get everybody excited again. They got excited last night when Conine got an opportunity. And as they did last night, a standing ovation for Jeff Conine. That's pretty good when you can get a standing O for a pinch hitting appearance.
Part of it is, too, though, they read in the morning's paper that he is trade bait to try to increase their bullpen. Baltimore, one of those suitors. Baltimore has a stacked bullpen. Well, maybe showing appreciation every night, not knowing whether he'll be here tomorrow or not.
Conine went from Florida to Baltimore last time. Desi Relaford, good pickup, long throw, and that's the inning. Another run. Life by the horns. Jim Messier is the new pitcher. Making his 12th appearance.
Got a couple of holes on the year, not any chance for saves at this time. 3.24 earned run average, 9 strikeouts. A guy that's going to pound the strike zone, try to induce a lot of ground ball outs with that. One of the rarities that, you know, you see guys with split fingers, you see guys with hard sliders. Well, he's a guy with a very good screwball.
First plate appearance for Relaford, who came in the double switch. And he's behind Messier 1-2. Rockies in jeopardy of losing their 10th straight game. Their all-time record for consecutive losses, 13, set 2 times in their inaugural season of 1993. Their second worst streak, 11 in a row. That came in 2000. They've lost 9 in a row. Only 2 other times before this streak. The last time coming in 2002. Strike 3. Let's take a look at our Sonic Good replay of the game. A deflection by Chacon off the line drive by Castillo, caught by Barmes, and with Pierre running, the Rockies got the easy double play. That was early in the baseball game. Folks, we were trying to find something more glamorous than that, but the Rockies have been shut out in 19 straight innings. Miles is out. Oh, no, it's foul ball. Paul LaDuca jumped on that baseball.
Watch when this ball comes out. I thought it was a fair ball. I thought the ball came out in fair territory. It does there. And then LaDuca pounced on it. But apparently the ball on that second bounce bounced right to the, or I should say, to the left of the foul line. And he snap throws it over. So, watch when this ball comes out. That looks like it's fair by quite a bit. Still looked fair to me. Glad it wasn't. Miles gets to extend the at-bat, even though it is 0-2.
Rockies did not score in the final 3 innings Wednesday, all extra innings. 10th, 11th, and 12th against San Diego. Shut out last night. And they've been shut out through the first 7 1/3 tonight. The hits have been kept to a minimum in this game. 5 for Colorado, 6 for Florida. Florida's benefited from 9 walks, all courtesy of Sean Chacon. And the Rockies have contributed 3 errors to the Marlins' cause. It's really remarkable that the Marlins only have 3 runs.
The amazing thing about the 9 walks, only one of those 9 walks came across the plate.
Well, I'm reminded of what former manager of the Florida Marlins and Colorado Rockies used to say, Jim Leland. He said, you really play against bad baseball every night.
That's exactly right.
And what he meant by that's strike 3. That's the same exact pitch that he threw to Desi Relaford. That thing gets backed up about a foot. Anyhow, what he meant by that is if you play tight baseball from a pitching standpoint, you don't beat yourself. Defensively, you put away outs. You don't give teams 4 and 5 out innings. And offensively, you compete every at bat. Don't give away at bats. You have a much greater chance at winning night in and night out.
Well, no question you do. And that's the hardest thing for certain people to grasp a hold of is, and Drew likes to call a clean game. The errors aren't there. The walks aren't there. You're hitting behind runners. You're advancing runners. You're driving in runs when you got 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. It's a complete ball game. A complete 9 innings of baseball.
Now Barmes has competed tonight. He does every night. 2 for 3 in the ball game. And it's not to say anybody else hasn't competed. It's just been one of those sloppy affairs. And the Rockies are in a deep funk right now. There are a lot of guys, 10 rookies, that have made an appearance for the Rockies this year. And they're trying to learn to play in the big leagues. And tonight was not a major league game. And yet you look up on the scoreboard and it's just 3-0. Anything's possible. Barmes got enough. He's still alive. This ball lined down the left field line, and it is over the head of Cabrera. A double for Clint Barmes. 3 for 4 night for Barmes. Somebody do some math in the truck. Did that put him over 400 again? He came in at 386.
12 for 28 on the road trip. Pretty good numbers.
Helton 1 for 2 and a walk, and he was robbed of another base hit on a diving catch by Alex Gonzalez, the shortstop.
You know, they had the lefty warming up down in their bullpen, and I thought maybe there would be for Todd Helton because, you know, you look at the situation, he's the one guy that would leave the yard. And then they don't bring him in. Aparicio, the lefty, was up.
They also have Kroll down there also. They just brought up.
Yeah, well, Aparicio was the guy loosening up in the bullpen. And then all of a sudden he's set down, and then they're going to go ahead and pitch to Helton with the screwballer Mercier on the mound.
Barmes, by the way, right at 400 now. 1-2 on Todd Helton. Base hit to left. Barmes around third will score, and the drought of almost 20 innings is now over. And Todd Helton with that RBI has driven in 849 in a Rockies uniform. He moves one ahead of Larry Walker. It is a new club record, and it is 3-1. And the tying runs at the plate in Preston Wilson. That was a vintage Helton at bat. Behind 0-2, works it back to 2-2, and then lines it the other direction. And Wilson a little tardy on that swing. It's 1-2. On the outside corner, strike three. All three strikeouts in the inning. Called third strikes. The Rockies break the ice. They're within 2. Bank One game summary on this one. It's 3-1. Florida leading the Rockies. The Rockies got their run in the 8th inning a few moments ago. Clint Barmes doubled. Todd Helton delivered him with a single. Career RBI 849 for Helton. Now tops among all the Rockies. Larry Walker was at 848. Josh Beckett, 7 shutout innings. He's given way to the bullpen, and the Rockies now utilizing their 4th pitcher. It's their closer, Chin-Wei Sao, getting some work here in the 8th inning. Juan Pierre will lead things off. Pierre in the ball game, 0 for 2 and 2 walks.
Overall numbers for Sal this year: 7 ball games, 450 earned run average.
And Pierre hits it in the air to Wilson in center. Preston has the first out. That'll bring Luis Castillo to the plate. He's 1 for 3 and a walk. Single scored in the 5th inning. Todd Jones has assumed the role of closer for the Florida Marlins with Mota nursing a sore elbow. Mota threw on the side today. They believe he's about 10 days away. There's the bunt, and if that's fair and stays fair, and it will, it's a base hit.
Well, we talked about it at the beginning of the ball game. The combined average of Delgado, Cabrera, Encarnacion, and LaDuca, 329, 13 home runs, and 76 RBIs. The reason for the RBIs, the table centers, and that's exactly what Castillo did there. You look at it in the 3-1 ball game, a smart play with Desi Relaford, typically a shortstop, second baseman. Go ahead and test him. Well, that ball just laid right on the line. Ended up staying fair.
Now, what do you like here? Do you like Castillo to run, or do you prefer Delgado with the first baseman holding the runner on if you're Jack McKeon?
I go ahead and put him in motion, see if he can steal a base. He's very good at it. He's already has his 4th on the night earlier in this ball game. That stolen base resulted in a run back in the 5th inning.
From Florida's perspective, I agree with you.
Sal with a high leg kick, yet the velocity makes up for part of that, but not all of it.
Delgado drove Preston Wilson to deep right center field his last time up.
Well, the key that is what he is looking for right now, that right front leg of Sal. As soon as it tips, he goes, and he got a nice jump, a huge jump.
No
and
chance for Todd Green.
Yeah, they can't have a chance when a pitcher gets into a rhythm of not even hardly stopping on the mound and not even giving a double look or holding the baseball. See, his glove still motion down, reaches his point, bam, he's going. And so now you just get this huge jump. 5th stolen base.
And this ball chopped foul. 2 balls and a strike. Sal's last appearance Wednesday, that extra inning affair with the San Diego Padres. Sal pitched a clean 8th inning in the 9th inning after Luis Gonzalez had given the Rockies a 1-run lead. Sal served one up to Ryan Klesko, and then he pitched out of a jam. Actually very impressive getting out of what looked like was going to be a San Diego Padre win in the bottom of the 9th inning. Got 2 tough outs with runners in scoring position. The game was eventually won in 12 innings by the Padres. And this ball's hit a ton center field, way back. Wilson still chasing. And he got there and couldn't hang on. Now Castillo around third will score. It is a long way out there in center field. Wilson tried to make a basket catch with his back turned to home plate. And almost came up with it.
Only opportunity I think he had to catch the baseball. Looked like it faded back over to him as he ran on an angle to get to the baseball. That ball was hit hard. You throw hard, it goes out hard. I don't know that he'd help but give him a double on this baseball, but this ball hit very high in the air. Watch Wilson as he tracks, he looks, checks the wall, and tries to make the basket catch, hit off of the heel. And he's able to get this ball back in, but not in time before the run scores. Delgado at second.
Good effort by Wilson. He almost caught it on the rebound. This is popped up. And Miles makes the catch to retire Cabrera. It is scored a double. So the Marlins have gotten that run back. Encarnacion. Slow roller at Barmes. Good pickup by Helton at first. We'll go to the top of the 9th inning. The Marlins lead the Rockies 4-1. Hop, Holiday, and Green against Todd Jones. Marlins leading at 4-1. Todd Jones warming up. He's the new closer, at least temporarily, for the Marlins. And let's get an update on what is ahead tonight on FSN Rocky Mountain from Keith.
It would be the Rocky Mountain Sports Report, Drew. It is on tap, and I would like to know why so many Rockies pitchers can take no-hitters, one-hitters, two-hitters into the 5th inning and routinely lose. I'm sure you'll talk about that after the ball game. Also, a one-on-one conversation with perhaps the most frustrated player regarding the Rockies losing, and that would be Todd Helton. And a major surprise at Churchill Downs in Louisville, Kentucky. Wait till you hear who won the Derby and which horse came in second. It's all coming up next.
All right, Keith. Todd Jones is not unfamiliar with this role. He was a very good closer with the Detroit Tigers some years ago in the American League.
Well, he was, and here with 2 saves on the year and 2 opportunities so far. You see his 11th appearance, a very fine 154 and run average. Still has a tendency to walk people, 7 and 11 2/3. It's never been a problem for Jones with the ability and the stuff. With all the number of save opportunities and pitches that he threw previously in his career, the ball would rise up into the strike zone at times. For Todd Jones, not effective up in the strike zone, effective down.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Colorado Rockies and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of the Colorado Rockies. Here's the 0-1 to Hop and slowly hit at Castillo. 1 out. Well, to this point, our player of the game, brought to you by Gatorade, has to be Josh Beckett. He pitched 7 shutout innings. You deserve some accolades. 5 hits. He struck out 6. He walked just 1. That's after yesterday, in which Dontrell Willis went 7 shutout innings. So Rockies have not been able to scratch a hit out, or excuse me, a run out against the 2 Marlins starters they have seen. They will see Al Leiter tomorrow. Rockies got their run last inning against Jim Messier. Holiday 0 for 2 and a plunking. That came in the 2nd inning. So Matt's struggling on this road trip, just 1 for 21. This may be his worst big league slump. I don't remember him ever going 1 for 21 last year, anything close.
Not anywhere close to that. He had a 0 for 16 area and then battled right back out of that. Pretty frustrated with himself now. Just go back to your basics of what made you successful early. One thing you got to take into account, folks, I know you don't want to hear this at home, but you've got to take into account the Rockies pitching that they have faced on this road trip. It has been outstanding.
They have faced very good pitching, but what makes it frustrating, George, is that the pitching has nothing to do with the fact that the Rockies have walked 14 in this series and the opposition has walked 3.
Yeah, part of that, Drew, the walks obviously played a major role in this. Well, what else? The Rockies have hit 205 coming into tonight's game. 49 for 239. They're averaging under 3 runs per ball game. Only 18 total with 6 home runs.
And that has something to do with who's on the hill, certainly.
Absolutely, it does.
1 ball and 2 strikes. And this will be the ball game. Juan Pierre in center field. The final 4-1. The Rockies go quietly in the 9th. They have lost 10 consecutive ball games, and they fall to 1-15 on the road. The Marlins are now 17-10 this year. Colorado drops to 6-21. Beckett the winner. Chacon takes the loss. Beckett now 5-2. Welcome to the Rocky Mountains.